Hello, and welcome to this week's video. This week, I want to focus on saving for retirement and options available when it comes to retirement accounts. I'll be giving you an overview of 3 retirement accounts and some takeaways for each. Before we dive into this week's video, however, I want to remind you all that I am not a financial advisor, nor do I work in the world of finance. I also don't claim to be a master at personal finance. Please consider this channel like a conversation you're having with a friend over a cup of coffee. Let's now get back to the topic of discussion for this week. As either someone who's interested in financial independence, retire early, or someone looking to have a solid personal portfolio, saving for retirement is a key piece regardless of your target age for retirement. There are several different retirement accounts. Here are a few to mention: 401k, Roth IRA, traditional IRA, SEP IRA, simple IRA, 457B. In this video, today, we'll discuss the first 3 retirement account options, and maybe in later videos, I can cover the other options that are available. Let's get started with 401k. This retirement account is only available through your employer. It's important to note, however, not all companies do offer 401ks. Or if they do, not all employees are eligible to participate. For instance, if you're a part-time employee, an intern, or a contract employee, you might not be able to participate in the company's 401k plan. However, if you're employed at a company that does offer 401k and you are an eligible employee to participate, enrollment is very easy. It's as simple as deciding how much money you want deducted from each of your paycheck to go to your retirement savings. In many cases, companies have a third-party financial institutions such as Vanguard, Fidelity, John Hancock that manage their 401k benefits. Once you enroll, or before you decide to enroll, here are some things to consider. First, there is a limit to how much you can contribute each year, and these limits change year over year. It's always good to check the IRS website to know what the limit for that year is. The limit for 2022 is $20,500, and if you're married, you each can contribute up to this limit. For individuals above 50 years old, you can add another $6,500, bringing your total contribution for that year to $27,000. Second, many employers provide a company match when you participate in their 401k. Ask your HR or benefit advisor if your company matches any of your 401k contribution. It is important to remember that companies will not match if you don't contribute anything. Please make sure you contribute as much as possible to get the maximum match from your employer if you're able to. You might have also heard people say, don't leave money on the table. So let me explain how company matches work. Let's say your take-home pay this year is $100,000 and you work for a company that matches 100% up to 5% of your salary for the year. This means that your employer will contribute a maximum of $5,000 this year, which is 5% of your annual salary. They will also contribute $1 to $1 up to $5,000. If I decide to contribute $10,000 to my 401k this year, then my employer will add another $5,000. In this case, I'm taking full advantage of the company match policy. However, if I only contribute $3,000 this year, then my employer only matches what I contributed, so they will add another $3,000. In this situation, I'm leaving the extra $2,000 on the table. My goal, and everyone's goal, should be at the very minimum, you should strive to contribute to get the maximum match from your employer. It's important to note that some companies have vesting rules, which dictates who has ownership of the money in your 401k when it comes to the money your employer contributes. This means if you leave your company before the vesting period ends, then your employer owns their contribution. If you are 100% vested, then the money is all yours. Number 4, Contributions towards your 401k are made before taxes. This means that it lowers your taxable income for that year. However, when you withdraw money from your 401k during retirement, which is also called a distribution, you do pay income tax on it. That means how much you withdraw from your 401k plus any other income sources you might have during retirement will determine the tax bracket you fall under. 5. I think people worry about having their money in a 401k locked away that they can't access until they are 59 and a half years old, which, by the way, is when you become eligible to withdraw money from your 401k plan. I do believe 401k can be used as a safety nest egg as a last resort in a very difficult situation. For instance, you might be able to get a lump sum and pay income tax on the money you take out from your 401k plus pay a 10% fee for early withdrawal. There are also some allowances made for hardship occasions. I mention this because for some, it might give them a peace of mind knowing that they can access it in a very dire situation. However, I like to encourage you guys to find a way to build your nest eggs and minimize the chances you might be needing money from your 401k. The two disadvantages for withdrawing early is that you pay the fee for early withdrawal, and also you're losing the biggest advantage, which is allowing your money to grow over time. These are some key takeaways to consider with 401k account, and I encourage you to open a 401k account if you're employed and your employer does provide this benefit. Next, we'll talk about Roth IRAs. Roth IRA is an individual retirement account, and unlike 401k, it is not tied to your employer. IRA stands for Individual Retirement Account. Anyone can open up a Roth IRA with any brokerage firm, but there are some income restrictions to be aware of and maximum allowed contribution amount per year. So let's start with the contribution limit. The current contribution limit is $6,000 if you're under 50 and $7,000 if you are 50 or older. Your eligibility to contribute to a Roth IRA is based on your income. So let's discuss the income limitation. If you're single and make more than $144,000 a year, or married, filing jointly and make more than $214,000, you are not allowed to contribute any amount to a Roth IRA. In order to make the maximum contribution, your income has to be less than $129,000 if you're single, or under $204,000 if you're married and filing jointly. If your income is between these lower and higher limits, there is a reduced amount you can contribute. I can't walk you through the calculation, but know that you can find this information on the IRS website. Here's some other important information to be aware of when it comes to a Roth IRA. First, the money you're contributing isn't tax deductible. This also means the benefits are you can withdraw your money tax-free, including any growth you've realized over the years in your Roth IRA account if you've invested the money. Second, in order to be able to contribute towards a Roth IRA, you must have an earned income, which is also called a taxable compensation. Earned income, the way I think about earned income is income coming from your job. So things like alimony payments or gifts are not an eligible source of money to go towards your contribution. In terms of withdrawal, you can withdraw your contribution without any restriction. Say, you contribute the maximum in a given year, which is $6,000 at the start of the new year, which you can also front load if you wanted to. And over the year, you have a capital gain of $1,000, bringing your total amount to $7,000. You can withdraw that $6,000 without any limitation. Fourth, you're eligible to withdraw from your Roth IRA at 59 and a half years old and after 5 years holding period. That means you can't turn 60, open an account, and start taking money out from it because you have to hold it for at least 5 years before you start withdrawing money from it. The last retirement account we'll be discussing in this video is traditional IRA, also known as just IRA. This is another retirement account individuals can open that is not tied to your employer. Here are some key points to consider with IRA. First, the money contributed to your traditional IRA is pre-tax, and your gains grow tax deferred. However, when you reach the eligibility age to withdraw money, you have to pay taxes on what you are withdrawing. Second, unlike a Roth IRA, there are no income limit restrictions with IRA. So if you either can't contribute the max $6,000 or have to contribute the reduced amount to a Roth IRA, but still want to save more for your retirement, you could open a traditional IRA and make contributions towards it. Third, with IRA, you can only contribute until the age of 17 and a half years old. This is because with IRA, you are required to take distribution starting at this age. The last point to consider is even if your IRA contributions are tax deductible, there is an exception to this. If you participate in a workplace retirement plan, there is an income limit to figure out whether you can deduct your contribution from your income. This concludes a very high overview on the top 3 retirement accounts. Before I end this video here, there are some questions you might be asking yourself, so let me try to address those. The first question might be, can you contribute to both Roth IRA and traditional IRA? The answer is yes. Yes, you can contribute to both. However, your combined contribution amount cannot exceed the maximum amount. In this case, for this year, it's $6,000, so you can contribute $3,000 towards a Roth IRA, another $3,000 to a traditional IRA if you're under 50 years old. For both, you do need to make sure you have an earned income to be able to contribute. How do you decide how much to contribute to each retirement account? This is a very good question, and I believe this question comes because each retirement account has different tax implications. It's a debate of is it more advantageous to me to either pay tax now or later? I don't think there's a clear-cut answer. I'm sure financial advisors can give you different strategies on what you envision your future income will be, and it's always good to be aware of what your tax advantages are now and will be in the future. There are 2 things I consider. One is you want to prioritize your 401k contribution to get the max match from your employer. The second thing I consider is diversification might work to my advantage. If I split my contribution between different types of retirement accounts with different tax implications. You might also be wondering, do you need to invest the money you're contributing towards these retirement accounts? No, you don't have to invest the money at all if you don't want to, even if that is the preferred way to grow your money. Think of it like a savings account, and when you're ready, you can move your money from this savings account and be able to invest it. This allows you to put your money aside, and you can think about how you should invest your money in the future. Can I participate in both IRAs and workplace retirement plans? You can participate in both IRAs and workplace retirements. I mentioned that with a traditional IRA, your contribution might be tax deductible. However, if you participate in a workplace retirement, there are some income restrictions that affect how much you can deduct from your income. Here is a useful page on the IRS website. Finally, I think looking at the IRS website can be daunting, but the IRS has a retirement section that could be helpful. I will link it in this video. In addition, if you have an account with some brokerage accounts like Vanguard and Fidelity, they do have an education section, which is always a good place to learn about not only saving for retirement, but also about investing. Thank you for joining me on this week's video.